Good.
Hey, alright, what's up? Welcome to Tuesday. I'm Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. I think everyone just got frightened because if
Oh, is it too loud?
if they didn't have the
Sorry.
thing on that, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's all good.
I didn't know. Anyway.
How's everybody going?
Alright, there we go. So, we'll talk about Street Fighter V and how it's been going so far.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we'll talk about upcoming interesting releases, which include Mortal Kombat X Combat Pack 2.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some of the characters, and Killer Instinct Season 3, and probably some other game news and event news, and you know how that tends to happen.
But I mean, look, Street Fighter V came out, right? It's a brand new game. A lot of controversy surrounding a lot of things going on. Last week I talked to Sajam about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it.
Okay.
So not only do I want to just talk about our initial impressions on the game itself, right? But I really do want to talk to you about, you know, the launch, all the problems, the network issues, and all these things like that, like all little subtle things like that. And, you know, well, I mean, what do you want to talk about
We can
first?
start off with the bad stuff.
Okay, let's talk about the bad stuff.
Fantastic game.
Okay.
Big thumbs up on the game. Everything else is a garbology.
Right.
It's the study of garbage. And
Yes.
good lessons about garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. It's probably the worst major fighting game release that I can ever recall.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of anything that's worse. I mean, Mortal Kombat gives it a run for its money because, you know, of course, the PC version was just complete garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And the online play for 360 and PS3 was poor until, like, now.
Well, you mean not those, because those got
I'm
canceled.
sorry. Yeah, they got. Oh, you're right. Yeah, those got canned entirely. PS4 and Xbone had bad online. But at the same time, there's like a ton of single player content, and like it worked. It just like wasn't the best online, but like it was you could play it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely they're like neck and neck in my view. But the fact that Street Fighter V is still has these issues, and they're like critical issues, makes it probably the worst for me. So look, I had some friends over, including you, recently, to play some Street Fighter V. First dude who came over, Kazmer, he and I both had PS3 sticks.
Right.
I had a PS4 and a PC to play the game on. And I thought this will be fine. There's not any problem. We have two sticks and it has legacy support. It's Sony.
Right.
There was no configuration of two PS3 sticks that we could make work on either the PS4 or the PC because I didn't have an extra DualShock. And
because you need the second controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
So we couldn't do anything. So what I ended up doing was I have a 360 stick from back in the day, and so we just plugged that in, and Casimir used that, and I used an old Mad Catz 360 gamepad.
Right.
So for our supposed legacy support Sony-sponsored game, we're using 360 controls.
Well, I mean, on the PC, that's known. PS3 sticks just don't work on the PC.
I know.
Right? I mean, this has nothing to do with Street Fighter. It's just they don't work. I've never been able to use a PS3 stick on the PC before.
I mean, fine. Then how about we play on PS4 where there's explicit legacy support?
The problem is you didn't have a second DualShock controller.
That's only a problem because Capcom designed it to be a problem.
Right.
That's the only reason.
Exactly.
It's nothing that was required in the Lab Zero contract. I can guarantee you on that. So, anyway, all that was very, very frustrating. Once we started playing the game, again, major thumbs up. But I've been kicked off single player. I'm not even bothering with the survival.
Oh, God.
I have no colors, and I will never have colors unless I can get them for free in some way.
Look,
it's just not worth it to me.
I'm just going to say this. They have blue and white Cammy. They have blue Chun-Li. They have blue Armika. They have blue Zangief.
As defaults.
And they have blue Ken.
Yeah.
As all defaults.
Right. Oh, I'm the same way with red.
I don't need no.
No, we're lucky.
Yeah, I know.
We're lucky.
Red and blue seems to be happy times.
That's what we like.
Yeah,
and so it worked out for us.
Exactly.
And I don't really care about alts or whatever. But I'm never going to sit down and beat all this. Like, who I know are pretty good players say that they just haven't been able to get the colors because
it's too hard.
It's too hard. Sometimes they get kicked off.
There was a video of someone beating the 50th character, and you see Chun-Li celebrating. It's like, congratulations, gets kicked off the server.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's a doctored video or if it's real, but
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
The point is made.
because it probably can happen for sure.
Yeah.
And because of the ability to share videos, it's not like you had to be prepared for that. As soon as that happened, you just hit a button and you capture the video clip, and there it is.
That's true. Yep. I think it's hilarious that if you do button check in like the fast button check way of like pressing the button, that it actually deselects the buttons rather than making sure that they're on there.
If you hit the same button as it is.
Yeah, but oftentimes that's how it is. Like you turn on button check, it's
exactly.
like usually the same.
Yeah, it shouldn't ever deselect. Yeah. You should never deselect.
But it deselects.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's just so many little like bizarre. If you're friends with somebody, you can see like their name, right, and it says like what they're doing. Oh, this is Battle Lounge ranked.
Oh, okay. Not
really. That's what they did last time. At the last time they were on. If they're not online, it still says that they're in Battle Lounge.
Oh, really?
It's like that's potentially a cool idea, and it's not even that big of a deal. But the fact that it's broken like that is just very emblematic of the situation.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's awful. The story, oh my god, the art.
Dude, I haven't even tried the story. I don't even know if I want to try. I don't even know if I have any reason to bother trying.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
The stories I already forgot them.
And they're just 1 round, 4 fights each, right?
Yeah. No, not 4. It's like 2 or 3.
Oh, it's even less, huh? Did you only fight like 3 characters? I thought you fought like at least 4 characters, but it was only 1 round, right?
No, it is 1 round, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Fang's story is that he's like the leader of this organization.
Right.
And Bison busts it and kills everybody except for him. And then all of a sudden now he's obsessed with being number 2. He was the leader of this organization.
It's because he couldn't poison Bison, right? And so he respects him.
His personality completely changed. He was no longer the leader. He was a fetishist for being second place. What? What are you doing?
All right. Well,
it's like potato. It's like I just didn't want Hugo to be a potato again. Like that's
right.
That's like the level that I was wondering was not like fantastic. I wasn't looking for Emmy nominated stuff. It was just maybe make him not a potato. It's not asking for much. Anyway, the game is great.
So instead of a tuber, he just wants to be a 2, right? So. Anyways, look, before we even get into the actual gameplay of the game, let me ask you this question. Obviously, there's been a lot of backlash, a lot of public backlash to this. To the casual audience, this is such a problem, right? So the one thing that I mentioned on the show last week is I really feel like Capcom was kind of put into a weird position. They knew probably that they didn't have a complete game ready to go. I mean, some stuff isn't even coming out until March, like the trial modes and stuff like that.
Or right? June, right? For
June
story.
For the main story mode, right? So all that stuff. So they could have waited.
Sure.
They could have just released the game in June and have all the one-player content in there and all that stuff. But it's obvious that their goal here is to work for the Capcom Pro Tour, the esports, all that stuff like that. Do you think they could have afforded to wait till May or June, release it 1 month before EVO, have it only be a month old at EVO, be played there, and do a Capcom Pro Tour for only half a year? Do you think they could have done that, or do you think they should have done that? Right? Which poison do you pick at this point?
I definitely think the better question is should, because as far as whether they could afford to, I think it's absurd to say that as much as I like us and our scene, we're potatoes. Hugos compared to the money that they could be getting from the casual audience. We're nothing. We're marketing for them, essentially. That's what esports are for them.
Right.
I am happy that they're catering to us, but what are we? I mean, I'm serious. It's absurd to me that they would make that decision. Hey, I'm happy about it, I guess, because personally, I like the game a lot, and I am part of that crowd that they're catering to. It just seems like a very strange choice of crowd to cater to, financially speaking.
Yeah.
So, I almost feel like it's worse. Like, the better question is, could they afford to do what they did?
Right.
Is that gonna bust their finances too badly?
That was actually my next question. Do you think this is gonna hurt them in the long run? Do you feel like that that this could potentially ruin, just the popularity of Street Fighter V, of the chances of it being this big thing in esports or anything? Or do you think the esports side will be okay? It's just the casual side won't care.
I mean, those two are linked ultimately, because a lot of the people who pay attention to like more esportsy games, many of them are casuals, and they just sort of, it's fun to watch or whatever.
Right.
So those are definitely linked. If you want to blow up in the way the league has, certainly you can't piss off the casuals.
Right.
I've never thought that we were going to do that, so whatever. But certainly, if you want to get esports type crowds, that's your goal. You can't piss off the casuals, but they did. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it's selling, but...
Because, I mean, the interesting thing to me is...
Not fantastically, I would imagine.
I honestly believe that after Super Street Fighter 4 came out, if there was no tournaments, then AE wouldn't have done anything. There would have been no AE.
Sure, I
There
agree.
probably would have been no AE 2012. Probably would have been no Ultra as
There
well.
definitely would have been no AE 2012.
Right.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So there is something to be said about having the esports scene helping it a lot.
Yeah, it's
Helping
advertising.
Yeah. So do you think it can recover?
Well, look, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to this later on, but Evo already broke its own record, right, for Street Fighter V, so like, it's probably all right. It's probably not bad.
Right.
But at the same time, yeah, it could have been much better.
Yeah. Actually, somebody mentioned something on the stream, and I think this is a brilliant idea. They should have just sold this game for $20, and then just like charged like another $40 for everything else.
That would have made a ton of sense.
Right, because someone made the argument that this is technically the arcade release. You know how when the arcade comes out, there's basically nothing, right? Except there is an arcade mode. Right? So theoretically speaking, this could be seen that way. So this is the early release without much of the content, and they'll figure things out
That
as
would
it
make
goes
sense.
and stuff like that. But the problem is they're charging a full $60 game. Not a lot of people, they're going to buy it, see it's crap, and then all of a sudden they're not going to stick around long enough for the one-player content to come in and for them to be happy with.
Yeah, a lot of people don't stick around anyway.
Right.
A lot of people buy games and they enjoy the games for a little while and then they move on to something else. It's very rare that people sort of crack out on games in the way that we do. We're not common. Typically people move on.
Right.
And there's this window where you can play where you expect to play in. And if that window is obscured, then you just go, all right, whatever, I'm out of here.
Yeah, because
I'm not going to stick around.
Like, for example, this is supposed to be an online game. You're supposed to play online. They've got this weird thing where you're online all the time. When you get kicked off, they actually reset you back to the main title screen.
I hate it.
Right. It's interesting because even someone like my brother, who's played fighting games his whole entire life, loves fighting games, right? He bought Street Fighter 4. He bought all the versions of Street Fighter 4. Just doesn't want to play online. It's just not what he feels like doing. He'd rather fight the computer all day.
Mm-hmm.
Or just play in training mode and practice combos. And that's not even there. The arcade mode. Like, it couldn't have taken that long for them to have programmed arcade mode.
There's an AI.
Right, there's obviously an AI, and then you just make a mode where you fight, like, they just random pick 10 characters in a row, and then you fight the boss at the end. Not that hard to have done that, and even if you did nothing, like no endings or whatever, have the you win explosion.
That'd be actually kind of funny.
If they just did that. Congratulations.
Why not?
I mean, that's all you really needed, just to have a little arcade mode in there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, look, I know a lot of people, including myself, hope that Street Fighter V is going to be like this really big thing, and so obviously I'm worried that with this casual reception and just with a lot of people being really mad at it, I don't know. I'm just wondering if that's just really just gonna hurt, the competitive aspect, the esports scene, and do you think it might hurt fighting games in general, or do you think it'll all be fine?
No, I don't think it'll hurt fighting games in general. There are too many other good games coming out. Mm-hmm. I don't think that. Look, I mean, I was not super optimistic. Maybe that's not the right word. I didn't have terribly high expectations for how the scene would grow in reaction to Street Fighter V. I didn't think it was a make or break moment. I thought it was going to be nice. I expect it will be nice. And it sounds, again, like Evo is like breaking its own record.
Right.
I'm happy with that.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be anything super gigantic. And I didn't anyway.
Right.
But now I super especially don't think that it's going to be anything gigantic. I think that they have made a giant mistake in the same sort of way that MK did, where MK could have been the big thing.
Right, right.
But it just ain't, because they screwed themselves.
Right.
And it's obviously not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing for Street Fighter V. They screwed themselves. We like it.
Right.
A lot of other people can't even say that they like. I mean, like for your brother, he would have no idea whether he even did like it, because he doesn't want to play online.
Right, and there's really nothing to do.
Right. So he just like literally can't enjoy it.
Right, right.
It's absurd.
Oh man.
What a set of decisions to lead up to this, and part of me like wants to like text people there and be like, you guys, what happened?
Right.
But I know that I'm sure that they're mad at anybody. I'm sure folks like Peter and Nidell whose role is like balance or like the marketing side, they don't have anything to do with whether the servers work. I'm sure there's nobody more pissed than they are, because this is directly, especially people like Nidell who's running the esports side of things.
Right.
This is like a giant thorn in their side.
I mean, because
it's astounding.
Look, the one thing that I will
honest.
say that I'm actually, to find the bright light in the middle of this disaster, pretty much, the SFV server Twitter. I feel like they've been pretty candid about everything, right?
Yeah, the SFE server.
Like they're literally going like, "Sorry, we know there's problems."
Of course they do.
So like they're actually being open and talking about it and trying really hard to fix it.
That's all they can do.
Yeah, but I mean, at least they're doing stuff, and a lot of people have been saying it's been getting better. I know the only time that I played online, I got about 8 or 9 matches in there, and there was wait in between the matches, sure, but I was busy in training mode finding stuff. Sometimes I got a match faster than I wanted because I wanted to test stuff. Other times I was on my phone playing Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
But I did get matches, and they all felt fine to me.
Okay.
I didn't have any really bad lag. I didn't have any crazy teleporting matches.
Okay.
I only had one match that was slightly teleporty, but because it was rollback netcode, I was still able to perform what I wanted to do. So I was still able to win.
Okay. I mean, I've certainly had bad matches. It's the minority. It's the small minority. For the most part, I would say that for me, the online play has been good.
Right. I mean, some people in the chat saying right now that other people who are streaming the game are getting matches fast right now.
That's great.
So.
That's great. I hope that they're still working on it. The first time that that the Battle Lounge worked, because it didn't work at the start, it like worked, and I was playing against Spabrog.
Yeah.
And so it was working, and then we got kicked out. And then it was working, and then we got kicked out. And then it was working, and we got kicked out. And when we went back in, it like forgot about my legacy controller. It just had lost it.
Right.
So I had to play with pad. Why? How did that happen?
Oh man.
Anyway, but lately it's been fine, and tonight I played against Play to Win, and it was all good.
Did you hear about the problem before with like if you had an underscore in your name, you couldn't be found in searches?
Yeah, I did.
Oh man.
Anyway, I think the netcode for now is good. It's just everything surrounding it. Sort of the gameplay is like this nice little pearl in the middle of it, but you got to crack open this big old clam, and it's
all right. So
giant oyster, whatever.
Let me ask you the question then.
It's all trying to chomp you.